The certified letter arrived on a Tuesday morning, delivered by a sweating man in a golf cart who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. It was from the Meadow Spring HOA. I had to read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. $1.8 million in fines. The charges? Non-compliant land usage, unauthorized livestock, and, my personal favorite, psychological disruption caused by roosters. The property they were fining me for was Thunder Ridge Ranch, my 3,000-acre cattle ranch. Here's the kicker, it sits a full 10 miles outside their jurisdiction. I laughed, thinking it was a clerical error. Then I saw the signature, Patricia Delroy, HOA president. I'd heard stories about Patricia, the suburban dictator, but I never thought I'd be her next target. 2 days later, SWAT vehicles were surrounding the HOA office. But they weren't there for me. They were there for Patricia. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm a former Army Ranger. My family has been raising cattle on this land since before the Meadow Spring retirement community was even a blueprint. Patricia Delroy, on the other hand, was a retired compliance officer who treated her neighborhood like a miniature sovereign nation. Apparently, Patricia took a scenic drive one Sunday, saw my cattle in the distance, and had what she called a visceral reaction to agricultural blight. First, she sent polite letters asking me to relocate my livestock for the visual serenity of her neighbors. I ignored them. Then she tried to claim retroactive annexation. She argued that since people could see my ranch from the highway overlook, it fell under her extended visual jurisdiction. My buddy Tom, a retired prosecutor, called it criminally stupid. But Patricia was just getting started. Patricia convinced her board that my ranch was causing rural proximity stress disorder. She then pressured the HOA treasurer, a nervous guy named Harold, to forge a plat map that extended their boundaries by 3 miles in every direction. They filed it with a notary at a UPS store and called it official. Then came the $1.8 million breakdown. $800,000 for emotional damage to HOA morale. $300,000 for non-regulation hay bales. And $50,000 for the harboring of unregistered goats. I don't even own goats. The letter threatened a forced sale of my property. That was the moment she crossed the line from annoying neighbor to federal felon. Patricia sent the debt to a collections agency. When they tried to file a lien against Thunder Ridge, it triggered a federal red flag. Why? Because my ranch has a grazing lease with the Bureau of Land Management. The BLM does not play around. They looped in the FBI's white-collar crime division. The IRS followed shortly after. In 72 hours, agents discovered Patricia had diverted $40,000 in HOA funds to hire private investigators to fly illegal drones over my ranch. She had dozens of emails instructing Harold to forge documents to bankrupt that cowboy into submission. Harold, seeing the prison bars in his future, flipped on her immediately. The raid happened on a Thursday. Tom called me, "Jake, get over to the community center if you want to see karma in action." When I arrived, 5 black SUVs and an FBI sedan were blocking the entrance. Patricia was inside, barricaded in her office, frantically feeding documents into an overloaded shredder. It was smoking so much they had to call the fire department. When they finally hauled her out, she was clutching half-shredded papers, screaming about bovine menaces and agricultural terrorism. Agent Cooper, the lead FBI investigator, walked over to me. "She's looking at wire fraud, mail fraud, forgery of government documents, and impersonation of federal authority." Total potential sentence? 45 years. The fallout was total. The board removed her unanimously. Her husband filed for divorce that same night. Her employer fired her. Even the UPS store filed charges for her fraudulent use of their notary. At her arraignment, Patricia showed up in an orange jumpsuit, her Oakwood beige life completely dismantled. When the judge set bail at $500,000, she gasped. Her assets had been frozen by the IRS. As they led her away, she looked at me one last time. She didn't have anything left to say. Patricia learned a very expensive lesson. You can regulate the height of a garden gnome, and you can complain about the shade of a mailbox. But you don't mess with a man's land, and you certainly don't mess with the United States government. I'm back at the ranch now. The hay bales are still out. The cows are still grazing. And for the first time in a long time, the only noise I hear is the wind.